Ralf Rangnick has reportedly agreed a deal verbally with RB Leipzig to sign Haidara this month. The report claims that United are dithering as to whether or not to make the talks official between, of course, the boards of both football clubs. However, this evening, one of the most reliable Manchester United journalists on the planet has tweeted and informed us, as in the world, not the football terrace, that official preliminary talks between the two clubs have now begun. Both stories kind of match each other in terms of the chronological order, and Man United could be on their way to signing their first player of this January window. That does, however, fly in the face of some rumours that have circulated today that Manchester United may make no signings in January. I want your thoughts. I want your feelings. Leave your comments below. Smash that like and share button. It's the Done Deal Show. Let's do it. Good evening, one and all. This could be the start of an exciting week for Manchester United. We're joined by KJ very soon, by the way, coming on to have his say. This was a tweet that was put out late yesterday via the, obviously it's from here, as you can see. This is Simon Mullock, from one of the chief football writers from the Sunday Mirror, fairly well respected in the industry, said that Ralf Rangnick has verbally agreed a £33 million fee with RB Leipzig for Haidara. However, Man United have not yet made a formal bid to the club and could risk missing out on him altogether. So you read this story and you kind of think to yourself, nah, it's good but bad. Of course, it's easy for Ralf to verbally agree a fee. There's a lot of people are giving this news story stick. The guy literally is RB Leipzig. He is most definitely has the capability to make a phone call, get a fee agreed, and then go to the likes of John Myrtle and, of course, the Glazers and say, can you now start official talks and get this signed off and done? But the kind of story just basically said the deal can be done, but United are kind of dithering, as it were. That was until an hour ago. And just over an hour ago, one of the most reliable Manchester United journalists around, I've had the pleasure of speaking to him, he's been on the terrace in the past, Jonathan Schrager, has come out and said, I'm going to put his comments up as well, that whilst talks are in preliminary stages, I am told that there is now an open dialogue between Manchester United and RB Leipzig. Now, click on his profiles. You can go and check him out. Go and follow him. Very well connected at Man United. That is what he put. And, of course, we always share people's tweets, copy them, and always give them their flowers. But that is what he has shared, and that is what he has put. I'm going to give that a little bit of a retweet as well. That is what he has said. That's the information that he has put out there. What's encouraging about this for me is the simple fact that this news has kind of come at the story seems legitimate because the progression of the story fits chronologically. Fee agreed in principle between Ralf and the club. No official talks started. Move straight on to official talks have now begun. And are moving in that direction. As I say, if you go through a number of different websites today, there's lots of stories. You know, the Zachariah deal was slowed down. Some claiming that Man United might not sign anybody as of yet. But this, for me, was the most interesting. And the reason that I say that is because Jonathan is a journalist I trust massively. Doesn't BS, doesn't pretend he knows about every single transfer on the planet, doesn't pretend that he is in the know, but only can't. And I wouldn't even say he tweets sporadically, but when he puts out information like this, he is invariably right. Doesn't mean the deal's going to get done. Doesn't mean Man United are going to complete it, but it does show they're trying to do something. And midfield is the area that needs to be improved massively. I do want your thoughts and I do want your feelings. Hope you're all well. Who we got in the house tonight? Who we got? A man like Sean. How you doing, my friend? How you doing? Hope you're well. United making moves. Maybe Man United are making moves. We just need to see. Blue Viper says, good news for Man United. If true, new players are always a good thing, is what Blue Viper says. And we are back. He's got Todd Campbell says, well, some people believe one decent midfielder in Man United will absolutely ball out. If that happens, I'll give everybody an apology. If that like one signing and suddenly we're prime Barcelona, then I will come on and say I'm very, very, very sorry indeed. I also had a funny interaction on Twitter a little while ago. I need to show you all as well. Literally, these are some of the funniest things that you can see. Right, where has it gone? Where's it gone? Right. This is the weirdest thing, right? So this is what this guy tweeted. He says, you literally tweet what other journalists tweeted. Not once have you broke news on your own. Well, firstly, that's not quite true. There's a few stories that I say I've been given information on, but yes. But I just kind of responded with the only answer that I could to this. And that's because I'm not a journalist. I'm a football fan. And I talk about football stories, games, and rumors. Have you just realized that's what all fan channels do? He then replies with, we'll keep the good work continue. So does he like what I do or not? I do need to say this, just full disclosure, and I'm sorry if I'm bursting anyone's bubble. No fan channel is like a news hub. We're fans, we read the news, and then we create content talking about the news or the games or the transfers. All the fan channels that have kind of grown and work with journalists, when they do go, oh, I've been told this, what they're saying, they don't have connections at the club. What they're saying to you is, I spoke to one of the journalists that we pay to come on here, and they've given us information. Just so everyone's clear. Because if the fan channels had the contacts that the journalists had, they wouldn't have to pay the journalists to come on, would they? I love it. I find it hilarious. I really, really do. It makes me die that people, I know for some people, maybe fan channels are the only thing that you get to, it can't be though. If you can get YouTube, that means you've got the internet, which means you can go on. Some people sometimes go, I can't believe you're making all these transfer rumors. I'm like, bruv, it's been trending for 2 days on Twitter. Nah, you made it up. Proper strange. Listen, anyway, I'm bringing out my guy, KJ now to have his say on the show. Make sure like buttons are being smashed, people. Member chats and super chats. We always look at this here. Look at that. Haidara is better than Wilfred Ndidi. Sarim says, you're lying, Terry. Fan channels are all giving us information. You're just a hater. Cheers, Sarim. One of my long-standing viewers and members. Yeah, I know. I'm the only one. I'm literally the only one. The rest of the fan channels, they literally have like on first name terms with the board members at the club. Maybe that's why the Man United fan they don't focus on. Maybe that's why most clubs don't focus on the board being the problems at the clubs. They don't want to lose their connections. I know that isn't true. Stretford Paddock always have a pop at them Glazers. KJ's here with me now, though. What are you saying, brother?
Yo, what's up? Terry, listen. I did the smart thing yesterday and spent time out. Didn't watch the game. Checked the scores. I was like, I'm not surprised. So my mental health compared to most Man United fans is pretty good right now. Not even gonna lie. I'm cool. I'm cushy. But yeah, in terms of this transfer, is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm at a point with this club where like, that's nice, bringing another midfielder. Is that going to fix the issues? No. You know what I mean? Like, Haidara is not going to suddenly make us play better football. He's not going to suddenly make people work harder. He's not going to suddenly make the club make smarter decisions. We just have to see how it goes. I don't think any Man United fan should look at this and be like, oh, it's a sign. We're on the way back. No, don't get sucked in. It is what it is. If we do sign him, because there's still a chance that we can't, then we move forward and be like, cool, let's see what he can do. But don't expect anything from this kid. Don't gas him up. Don't act like he's going to become the next big thing in world football. Just let him play football and let's see what we get from him. And if it's something good, then happy days. And if not, then again, we just have to look at it. One of those things where it's like we failed again in the transfer window.
Absolutely. Look, he's a very talented player. A few people are asking, where does he play? He's a central midfielder. What's interesting about him is I look at where he has most of his touches. I think that's really important. I don't really care about starting position. he plays the majority of his football at Leipzig north of the halfway line, which tells me I'm not going to call him an attacking midfielder, but he's definitely more advanced. He looks very different positionally to Zakaria, who is very much shielding the back line, as it were. And look, I would look at it this way. I don't think we're going to sign. I'm not even sure we're going to sign one player this month. We're definitely not signing two, but we do need 2 or 3 new midfielders. Matic is finished past his best. McTominay and Fred are not good enough. Pogba is probably going to leave. So you're going to need to, like this summer, I'd actually be happy this summer. Yeah, people say new fullbacks. I get replace certain strikers. Those areas are important. But if we just signed 3 quality central midfielders this summer and that was all our business, knowing that we have to rebuild the way we have to rebuild, I'd be half happy with that still. Like, yeah, ideally, you want another right back to come in. You'd love to get a Vlahovic in or someone to replace Cavani and Ronaldo a long time. But if it was just like 3, if we could sign Ruben Neves, Zakaria, and Haidara, like that would just be amazing because that would rejuvenate the central midfield areas. And you're right, he is talented, but I'm not allowing myself, one, to get gassed because preliminary talks have started. Ralph has basically spoke to Leipzig. Malok is a pretty reliable journalist and said, look, what would it cost? 33 million. Great. It's probably just a chat amongst friends. People forget that he'll be personal friends with everybody at board level at Leipzig. It's about whether the Glazers sign it off. One of the interesting reports is that they're not too sure yet whether they're actually going to let Ralph sign anybody. And out of all the news that's come out of Man United this weekend, the most sobering piece of news that you can read is that the club may not want to. They've basically said they may not let Ralph sign anybody because it might not fit the standards and the standings and the philosophy of the new manager coming in. That's the bit of news that everyone's forgotten about. They're focusing on Martial. Yeah. They're focusing on all these other things. I look at it from the point of view of, are we having a laugh? If Ralph's profile of player and system is going to be so different from the next manager coming in, we're still not building a club philosophy. That also then means Ralph, who has a certain way of doing things, how is he going to be compatible with the next manager in terms of ideas and working seamlessly together if they both look at football so differently? So it's going to be interesting to see what this board does, what they decide to do, who they decide to go with. Josh here says, sell Matic to Serie A this window, sell our loan Donny if he's not going to play him, buy Zakaria and Kamara. There are solutions this month. There are things we can do. Do you know what I mean?
That's too smart, Josh. It's too smart for it. It makes too much sense. Right?
Yeah. But I'm a bit like you though. I'm not gonna, even if it gets done. Do I think we could improve? Yes. Am I getting excited? No. Not until I see everyone working harder at the club. Not until I see full performances, higher fitness levels. I do think what's really important is getting rid of these players that just don't want to be here. We've seen the Martial thing today. It's just a mess. It's a mess, isn't it? A mess.
Yeah, the whole thing of it is a mess. You had the Dean Henderson thing about him reportedly storming out. You've got obviously Donny sacking agents and trying to get a move out, and it's all just a mess. And as a club, we are not in a good state whatsoever. So I kind of am. It's getting to the point where I'm questioning Haidara. Why are you coming here? Like, why is he coming here? Has he seen that it's an easy time? Has he seen that actually players get to rule the club and dictate who's in charge and stuff? Does he want to just have a big pay wage and just chill? Because that's what we're doing at Man United. So I'm getting to the point where now I'm questioning footballers who decide to come to this club. Why are you coming here? Because if it's not to help us get back to the top, if it's not to make sure and guarantee that we play better football and we see the most out of that player and out of that team, then personally, I don't want you. You know what I mean? Personally, I just don't want those kind of players. And right now, I don't know what the intentions are of anyone associated with this football club besides losing and making money. Like, those are the two things that this club is known for now. So it's going to be an interesting situation to see. We've got a lot of dead wood to sell. When I say dead wood, it doesn't necessarily mean they're crap, but they're not holding their weight. They're literally dead weight. So there's no point of them being here. So I think that might even be more important than actually signing Haidara, really. Like, I'd rather see news that Lingard is going, that Matic is going to go, Matt is going to go. I'd rather see those news come out than this, personally, because this
Yeah,
really truly don't really change anything.
I hear you, and I look at it this way: there are positives, and I'd always throw out the positives along with the things I've already said what I'm concerned about. One thing I would say is this: I hope the story from earlier about the club not being sure whether to let Ralph buy because it might not suit the next manager, blah blah blah. You kind of hope that that is a bit of BS, not the positive stuff for a moment. Equally, something Ralph actually needs at the club is an advocate. So he needs someone that knows him. Clearly, everybody that's through the RB process knows of him personally, or has come across him. He's been involved in a lot of things. So you always bring somebody in, a little like Sarri when he brought in J5 as an example. Some managers have players, you know what I mean? Harry Redknapp with Jermaine Defoe. Some managers have players that will just have their back. They can be influential in that dressing room. He's also a decent age. He turns 24 this month, so he isn't. He's not a kid. Mid-20s, like football-wise, decent age as an example. So I think there are some positives. And if you bring someone in that knows the Leipzig model, it means teaching him the system is easier. So there are some positives to doing it. But I'm just a bit like you. We've seen so many players come in that we've I don't even say we've overhyped, because their quality before joining United has warranted that level of excitement. They've just not delivered. And ironically, the one signing who's probably been our best signing since Fergie retired in Bruno gets more stick than some of our flops, which is crazy to me. So I look at it this way. Ralph's obviously trying to make improvements. Ralph wants to get start getting his people in. And I look at it from the point of view that I know he's not going to be here long term, but I believe what Ralph is going to do is help us to appoint a manager that's going to be able to get a tune out of the squad that he's already started to build. And that's his job as director of football. He knows what he's doing. I don't think he's going to make the mistakes that journalists are out there saying. Whether the Glazers sign off on it is a different matter, but I think he'll want to do that. So he'll look at Haidara and be like, okay, well, we know who we're going to appoint. This guy's going to come in and play this way, and there'll be a decent transition. He needs to start building his team. And you look at Villa, already started getting Gerrard players. Spurs, they said they were going to. Let's see if they do it to get players. Eddie Howe has already had players. Man United have got to follow suit and give Ralph, who right now is the manager, some of his own players who he knows can play his system. I'm not saying we won't sign 3 or 4 this month. There's no doubt. But if you could get a couple in who know the style of football, that are not learning it like our players are, that would also be a help to us, especially in the middle, because we conceded those 2 goals yesterday because our midfield lost control of the game as they tired. And we just need more energy. We need more physicality. We need more technical ability. And so, again, I look at it from the point of view of it still might not improve us. At the same time, I'd rather us try and improve than just stay. Because we stay with what we've got, we know what's happening. It's a foregone conclusion. But yeah, I'm a bit like you. I'm so stuck in the middle with it. I really am.
Yeah, what you said about Rangnick needed a player to advocate for him, it makes sense, because I know with Zlatan and Jose when he's at United, Zlatan was a massive part of why the first season did go so well, because he had the dressing room under his command. He would back Jose. Zlatan and Pogba had a great relationship, and Jose and Pogba's relationship at the start of that was really good as well. Zlatan leaves, Jose and Pogba fall out. Like, I know I'm not saying like that's the only reason why they fell out, but like those little things help. My own issue with Haidara is he that personality and character to come in and be like, right, guys, we can galvanize under this man here because I've worked with him. He's picked me out. A lot of those players right now can't even galvanize under Ronaldo. So if Ronaldo is not the man to galvanize, then as much as Haidara might be cool, it's one of those ones where it's like, how much influence will that have? I don't know. Maybe it's more of an infectious thing where they see a new body come in. He's trying really hard. He's buying into the ideas, and they might be like, okay, no, I can see him doing it. All right, cool. Let me try and do something else as well. But it's all a bit sketchy right now. You never know how to feel besides pain and despair. Literally, that's all you know how to feel right now. So yeah, hopefully.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
It's a really good question here from the Tamps, who says, Terry, what if the incoming manager doesn't like the player Wreck-It Ralph is bringing in? My response is then he isn't the right manager for Manchester United. What Ralph has got to do for us to be successful is to create a club ethos. And the club buys a certain type of player that the right manager is able to get the best tune out of. Now, people are looking and go, oh, but Pep Guardiola picks these players. Yes, to play a style of football that works for him and Manchester City. When Pep Guardiola leaves, in my opinion, Man City are not going to go for a manager that plays a completely adjacent, different style of football to Pep Guardiola. Will they be able to find someone as good? It's actually impossible. But you have a squad of 23, 24, 25 players. They're not going to bring in a Diego Simeone that needs 20 different players to get his style of football to work. As an example, it won't happen. And if they do want to change their style, there'll be a slow transition over time. So what needs to happen is Ralph needs to be helping the club decide on how they want to play football, the formations, the tempos, blah, 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 blah. And then you pick players and coaches to fit that. If you want someone to play fast, attacking, high press football, you bring in a manager who plays that kind of football. So for me, that's what we need to look at here. And we need to stop worrying about what one particular manager wants and think about what Manchester United want.
Are you not concerned potentially that the manager that Ralph wants is not even a Ten Hag or a Pochettino? He might want a young up-and-coming manager from Germany, for example. He wants him, but because he's not got a big name, hasn't done much in the game, the board fight back on him, the players fight back on him coming in, and then end up again in the same situation where we bring in a Ten Hag or Poch. They don't like the players, and therefore it all just falls apart again.
Yeah, of course. I have concerns with every decision that this board makes, because this board have consistently made the wrong decisions for the past 9 years since Fergie's left. They still got things right under Fergie, but that was through his guidance. They didn't sign off on everything, but we were still able to win. So yeah, I always harbor those fears. Harrison here with interesting points says, Terry, do you think there's a similarity between the way United tire and throw away results, like Liverpool in the first year under Klopp? I understand where you're coming from. Yesterday's game was an example of that. There was an element of tiring in this as the fitness levels need to improve. I would want to but what we're not doing is those Liverpool teams were still blowing a lot of teams away. They were killing certain teams, and they looked good doing it. We had patches. Yesterday was actually probably the best performance we've had under Ralph for large parts, but we still threw it away. So I'd want to see a few more examples of that before agreeing. But I do get, Harrison, where you're coming from with that. Cedric here says, when a new coach arrives in an NFL team, they try to bring in players who know the coach's system at the earliest possible time to speed up the cohesion process. And that makes, and I don't know about other sports, but do you watch other sports? Do football teams and basketball teams, like so for instance, I don't know who, like LA Lakers, do they have a particular way of playing that's different to others, or is basketball just pretty much played the same way? I don't know, because I don't know the sport, so I can't really talk about it.
Yeah, maybe fam. I watch NFL, but not to the extent to know if people play different or not. You know what I mean? Like, I know I like the Seahawks, but that's really about it. I don't even watch basketball.
I suppose so. I don't know if they do this in the NFL. Say you're a coach that primarily, like, his team, he relies on like runners. Would they employ someone like that into a team that barely have runners? I don't know. Maybe only if they want to change the direction of the team. If they're like, no, we've got an amazing team, but we need, and I don't know what else I don't know what the other examples are. So I'd love someone who knows those sports to give me an example, because I'm not going to comment about things that I don't know. But I know at football clubs, there needs to be, and I always feel there needs to be an 80 to 90% match for how the club want to play, the squad they have, and the manager that's coming in have got to be almost in complete agreement for there to be like a steady progression. If you look at Brighton as an example, can you imagine going from Eddie Howe to, from Graham Potter, and they were like, who's your next manager going to be? Oh, we're going to bring in Claude Puel. It would work. It'd fall apart. So totally different. They need to go for someone who plays good, technical, very modern football. Lots of passing, lots of interactions with the ball. Not someone who is like pragmatic and looking to counter attack. So otherwise, you have this group of players that might learn one style for like 4 or 5 years. It's doing well, and then someone else comes in and completely tries to change the way they play football. It's so difficult.
Talking about that, what do you think? about what Merson has said recently, where basically Man United need to humble themselves and maybe go for Graham Potter or someone of that ilk.
I like Graham Potter. I think from a technical standpoint, that makes complete sense. It's whether or not Graham Potter has the ability to handle the pressure of being at Man United. So the level of news attention, the fact that your life suddenly, like with Graham Potter, barring match days, when's he spoken about? Do you ever see in the newspapers where he's gone out for dinner, what's his wife wearing, what his kids do? You know, a story about his brother's gardener that's come out. When you join Man United, your whole life becomes a public eye. I'm not saying he can't handle that. I'm saying there's no example of him being in a high profile situation. You look at Ralph as an example. Ralph was the DOF at a club who were despised in Germany. The pressure, like every single football club, everybody in Germany despises them. So it's a different type of pressure, but he's had to handle that level of a national scrutiny against the club that he is basically taken from nowhere and got them into being a regular Champions League team. So he's kind of handled adversity and pressure. My question for the Graham Potters of this world and the like is, how do we know how they're going to react to that? So that's my only issue with Graham Potter. Technically, when it comes to football, I think he'd do an amazing job, and he might be able to bring us Basuma, because that would be great. But if, Haidara, Basuma, Ruben Neves, that'd be a colossal midfield three, colossal. I think. The question is Terry? The real question is, what style United want to play? Start from the top. Well, look. Just like me with the NFL, the Glazers have no idea about football. They have no idea about what style they want to play. I think from their point of view, they would probably. You need to delegate that out. You need to, they might say, well, we want to play like expansive, attractive, lovely looking football. They might sound like a fan. It's about
they'll probably say, bring us the football that brings us the highest stocks. The stock shares, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I totally agree. It'll be something along those lines. That's what you need a director of football. That's the irony in it. We were having non-footballing people making footballing decisions for 9 years. That's crazy. So that's the positive about man like Ralph coming in, that hopefully that type of thing can improve. Nez, hope you're well, my friend. Yes, it's called the Done Deal Show. It's a play on.
Hey, man like Nez, the biggest hater and troll in the channel right now.
No,
my guy.
Yeah, and Nez, listen, my brother. You hear a lot. If you want to become a moderator, let me know, my friend. I know you troll, but I know you love us really. And I hope you're good, bro. I hope you're really, really good. Terry, I thought you quit alcohol. I had to have a drink last night after what happened, bro. I had to have a drink after that. It was only vodka and like diet soda as well, which means there's no calories, so it's fine for the diet.
I'm telling you, Terry, ignore this club. Your life will be bliss. I've had a great weekend, I have. So make sure next game, you know what? Delegate hosting to someone else. Have a night off, Terry. Have a night off. Enjoy time with your family. You know what I'm saying? Don't let Man United ruin your weekends ever again. That's what I say, bro.
I would love to do that, but I just don't think do you know, I couldn't. I've done it. I remember once before. I don't remember the reason why, but I wasn't watching a game until the highlights. I'm like, I won't check it. I couldn't help myself but continually check the score. It's weird. I'm so addicted to it. My own brother got married, and I went outside halfway through, like dinner was being served, and the game started. So I went outside on my phone and watched the game, and I was out there for the whole hour and a half. Phoned into my show, which someone else was covering, then went back to the.
Listen, football fans are ill. We are ill, bro. Like that's very mad. You know how mad that is. The amount of love we have for this club, and yet they just treat us like it upsets me every time. Screw it, man. Screw it.
I hear you. It's crazy, but there's so many. The transfer stories on Man United today are probably the craziest that I've seen them. Like, legitimately, I was looking at MUFC P, whatever they're called. Right, I like their stuff because they're kind of like they some of the aggregators that I follow are all good, but some of them sort of like. What's the word I'm looking for? They're selective. I like this account because they kind of share whatever's out there, and then it's Some of the others, I follow them all, but some of the others only share what I think is credible. Well, I think share everything and let people just use their own brains to who they think is going to be credible or not. Plus, then sometimes you can discover new journalists or people that you didn't know about because that's why they're being shared that way. But the stuff they've tweeted today, we've heard the preliminary talk ones. Laurie Whitwell has said today that Rangnick has expressed a wish for January reinforcements, particularly in midfield. He could advocate the pursuit of Haidara. Then Zakaria has not convinced the club's scouts of his long-term suitability, which is interesting. So that was their take. Alex Crook said that Man United have not made a bid for Zakaria yet, but it could happen before the window closes. Rangnick has made bringing in a new midfielder his number one priority at the club this month. Donny van de Beek rejected a move to Newcastle. This one's really interesting from the same newspaper that put out the Haidara news. Rangnick is a fan of Dennis Zakaria. He is available for a cut price fee this month. Man United have a list of summer targets. If any of those become available in January, they may go for them. And then you had the sort of... and then you had the club might not allow him to do. I'm trying to find the journalist who said that because I don't want to get it wrong. Someone said it. I'll find it somewhere. But yeah, so literally like the amount of stories today, but a lot of them sort of turn around and look into it. A lot of them kind of touch on that sort of, they are looking to bring a midfielder in. That story is fairly consistent, if that makes sense. Fairly.
Yeah. I think they've got to a point where they cannot neglect it anymore. We've signed one midfielder since however long, and that midfielder was, I think, ever since Matic, we've only signed one midfielder, and no, since Fred we signed one midfielder, and that was Donny, and we don't even use him. It just doesn't make any sense. They've neglected that position for many years now. So I think they've backed into a corner where they have to address it. How well they address it, I have no idea how well they'll do. But it's time. It's time. Just how we hadn't had a solution for the right wings for years, and then we bought Sancho again, just not to play in right wing. It made, what this club is backwards, fam.
No, you're right. This club does things in such a strange way. Mo here says, yes, Terry and KJ, evening, my guys. Just tuned in. What's going on? Well, actually, it's probably a good time to do a bit of an update. So essentially, there's been two big reports today in relation to Haidara and Manchester United. The first is that Ralf Rangnick and Leipzig have agreed verbally a price around £33 million for the midfield player. But they did say in that article in the Sunday Mirror that no talks between clubs had started. There are a number of other teams also looking at Haidara as well. So I think he is away at AFCON right now, but lots of teams are looking at him. There's been a report tonight from a very credible Manchester United journalist that preliminary talks between the two clubs have now started. So when you look at the chronological order of that particular story, it does feel like it's moving in the right direction. I think the way we've played and the way that we've performed in games, Ralph's kind of knocking on that door and saying, look, I told you we need midfielders. What I think also is in Ralph's favour is generally, though, Man United allow the new managers to buy someone. Does that make sense? They tend to allow that.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
Not in Jan, though. When Oli came as interim, he didn't get anyone either. You know what I mean?
True.
So it's more of a summer thing. They definitely let people buy who they want. But in the Jan, we signed Alexis Sanchez because, again, that was an opportunity that we didn't actually really need, but they saw money, so they bought him. And we signed Bruno because legit we had no one. Like Scott McTominay, Pogba, the midfield decimated, so we had to buy someone in. He was a summer target, and they decided to bring him in at that time. But yeah, I actually personally, I just don't think we're signing anyone. Personally, I feel like they will sound them out. They will, okay, you sound like a good option. Dividend fee takes so long that the opportunity passes. Next thing you know, they're like, okay, we're ready to bid. It's the 5th of February. Like the
It's interesting. I mean, Laurie Whitwell's come out with a few today, which I think are interesting and people have to look at. He says that sources say that Rangnick has expressed a wish for January reinforcements. He would advocate the pursuit of Haidara. But this is the play on words, though. He then goes, as it stands, United are not in any advanced talks with any new players. I disagree. And again, I think it's everyone's understanding of advanced talks with players or with the clubs they're trying to buy them from. You're right. Man United are not in advanced stages with any of the clubs, but they've held pretty detailed talks with Julian Alvarez's people. Clearly, like it would be, they know something has to have happened with Haidara's people for the clubs now to be talking and for Ralph to have chatted to RB and worked out a verbal agreement on the price. They had to have held some, I don't know if advanced probably isn't the right word, because the word advanced now people associate with some of the big transfer gurus and it means things are nearly happening. But they must have had fairly detailed conversations with representation, because clubs very rarely start talking to other clubs, until they know categorically that player would join them. So it really does depend on your stance with transfers. I was talking to an agent earlier on today about the Mo Salah situation. That's going to be a very interesting story tomorrow, people, what he told me. And it's sort of like, he's the guy that said that to me. He's like, yeah, clubs come to him first to talk about his players. Sometimes I have 2-3 meetings. The second and third are normally quite detailed about their plan for the player, the direction of the club, the salary, shirt numbers, real intricate details. And the reason I say advanced is because that's the word he used to me. He always says, yeah, we have quite advanced and detailed conversations. So I look at that bit as being the advanced moment, because most of the work for transfers gets done before official conversations start. The official conversations, most of the time, they take about 24 hours once we see the words on socials of it's official. And that's because clubs do all their background work via agents and intermediaries to get to that point. So that's the only thing I dislike about the way stuff gets reported now. It's when you talk to these journalists and agents privately, they explain it a little different. Like social media transfer talk has become very much bullet point. Do you get where I'm coming from? It's like, speaking bullet points. You're like, oh, what do you mean by advanced talks? Oh, it means they're almost at the end of the transfer. Okay, right. It's crazy. And then you start asking, it's so strange to me now how people talk about transfers. It's crazy. But listen, Whitwell knows what he's talking about. But I also like it as well. You always know, for me, when something's going on, when you see words like as it stands or as of now. That's a way of a club doing the work, but briefing the media to say, but we don't want it coming out yet in case we don't get the player. So it's as of now. So that way it can change. And you can say, well, I always said as it stood. They don't come out anymore and say categorically United are not in advanced talks. It's very smart when you read into it. It's very, 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 very clever. Doors are always left open.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the PR, the way that all these journalists now skirt around all these stories to act like I didn't say this, I didn't say that. I was in the middle. Like the way football fans go after journalists now, if like one piece of the story is like a little bit wrong, you're fake, you're fraud in the know. It's just like, oh Lord, people, let them do their jobs. You know what I mean?
Hey, it's the thing is, people have got to learn the game in the sense of like the PR is so huge, nobody wants to get things wrong. It's the newer journalists or the less known journalists take bigger risks by tweeting about things earlier, and I think they give you more of the story as where it is right now, but that exposes them if things change and go in a different direction. So if you turn around and just say, as of now, Man United are not in talks with any midfielders, as of now, nothing is happening as of now, and even if you know they are going on, you then may get briefed by Man United and say, look, we're very close to signing a midfield player. Then it's changed. This has happened very quickly. Some journalists, though, know the talks are going on and say talks have started. But they do that in the hope that it goes through, and then people go, oh, look, man like Pedro was tweeting that 2 weeks ago. So like Pete O'Rourke, he was the first journalist to tweet that Benitez had been sacked. That's a risk to go first. Obviously, I gave him his flowers today because it come true. All the big journalists were an hour, maybe 2 hours after him, as an example. But he took that risk of going first. Imagine he tweeted that, and then out of nowhere, Everton went, actually, we're going to give you a few more games. Yeah. People look stupid. But once you're really well known, you can wait long. You don't need to be first. You don't need to be first because everyone's waiting for you. This is how mad it's become. And it's brilliant, by the way. People sometimes now wait for a Matt Law or a Fabrizio to confirm what other journalists have said. It's like you're not waiting for official confirmation. It's like the Fabrizio tweet is like, right, I can trust that journalist because they said the same thing. It's fucking mad. Honestly, it's gone crazy. It's gone crazy out here.
Very mad. Yeah, give me 2 secs. I'll be back. I just need...
No worries at all. No worries at all. Just wait for Simon. Yeah, exactly. Just wait for a negative Simon Stones tweet, and you know you're in. It's great. And look, and as I turn around for me, like I enjoy the transfer window. I enjoy the hustle and bustle. I enjoy the to in and the throw in. I report to you what I read or what I get told or what. And when I say what I'm told, not by the clubs, just by other journalists and a few of the agents that we speak to that have all been on the show, by the way. Just tell people what they think and feel. It's down to you to, like, my view is this: it's down to you to do your research and trust what you want to believe. I kind of look at transfers from the point of view of I know most are not going to happen. But I like actually having conversations about the players and would they work, would they not? That's the fun bit. People weird now. It's all about, do you think it will happen or not? Yeah, we can have an opinion on that, but would he be good enough? Would he work here? Like, chat about the player. That's how it was when, like, that's how it was when I grew up. You'd read a story in the paper, you go to school, you'd be at work, and did you read this story? And then you sit there and talk about the player. Could it happen? No one sat there going, who's the source? What journalist? What's he got right before? It's weird, like the direction that it's gone in. It should just be a little bit of fun. And as I say, I share stories from all different journalists. We put them out there and people get to have their say and their opinions. And I kind of like the journalists that throw out what they've been told and are not worried about it being true, like coming to fruition, not being true. It's the wrong word for it, but it coming to fruition. It's the coming to fruition bit which is key for me, because so many deals change, so many deals fall through. And look at the best in the business, Fabrizio, last summer. The amount he got wrong. He didn't get them wrong, just the situation changed. Lionel Messi, you know, Lukaku, Gini Wijnaldum, you know, all these things. And that ain't on him. It's because at the 11th hour, things change. That's football. It's amazing. That's why I say enjoy it. Enjoy it. Have fun. You know? There we go. There we go. I don't trust journos apart from the main big ones, but I trust you. Yeah, look, it is what it is. It is what it is. I spoke to some of these big journalists, and like everyone I've spoken to thinks Duncan Castles is amazing. Most football fans think he's an unreliable twonk. So it's interesting. It's all interesting. Terry, do you think under Ralph we will make the top four without any new signings? No, I don't think we'll make the top four. And in fairness, I don't even think top four signings, like signings, are going to be a guarantee. The games in hand now that Tottenham have a terrible. Arsenal are in great form and are absolutely purring. So yeah, I've got no hope right now. None. I love how people get mad at the journos when they say nothing is happening. Yeah, it is what it is. I think people get mad when they read things they don't want to happen. Or they get mad if they read something that they do want to happen and it doesn't come to fruition. It's like Man United are in advanced talks with the player's agent, and then Man United don't secure the deal, so the signing doesn't happen. The journalist gets called a liar. It's like, nah, bro, man didn't secure his sign. Like Myrtle didn't do a good enough job. That's not the journalist's fault. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. KJ's back with me now. He's back with me now. Yeah, it's mad. A few people are asking, or Mo asked as well, a few people earlier on. I wanted to get your take on this. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? What's your take on Martial's response?
This whole situation is messy because are you hearing that feedback as well? Okay, it's good now. Okay, yeah, the whole situation is messy just for the fact that, fam, neither of them have any reason to lie. You know what I mean? There's no reason for Rangnick to lie. There's no reason for Martial to lie. So I feel like there's a misunderstanding gone in there somewhere. Maybe Martial was like, "Oh, I'm not ready to play." You know what I mean? Or like, so if you know what I mean, like maybe you worded it wrong and Rangnick's taking it the wrong way and explain the situation the wrong way. I don't think this is like Rangnick trying to ostracize Martial on purpose, and I don't think this is Martial trying to be a dickhead on purpose. I just feel like with the whole situation we've going on with Man United right now, it's so easy to get lost in communication that like I can't say either side is right or wrong until more information comes out about it, because right now it's like it's he said, she said.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I've had a day to reflect on it, and the whole day to reflect on it, and I think miscommunication could be part of it. But I do also get this sense that Martial, whatever Ralph said, Martial and his team would have said that ain't true. So if he'd have said he's out of a knock, I'm fine, I'm fully fit. He refused to play. I'd never refuse to play. It's Ralph's already said in other moments, like, I don't want to play. I'm not going to play players that don't want to be here. Maybe that should be the again, this is it's how you want to word things. If I say you can't play in this team if you want to leave the club, and you say, well, I want to leave the club, that is you refusing not to play. Because you know that you have to want to be here to play. And you're saying, no, I want to leave. Therefore, it's again, as you say, it's how things are sometimes worded. We gave the example earlier of Wayne Rooney and Sir Alex. Sir Alex said the second time around, he put another transfer request in. Fergie eventually apologized when I misunderstood. It was basically a conversation, sort of like, why aren't you playing me in the big games? You're not in my plans right now. Is that going to continue? Maybe. Well, I think I might need to look for a new club. That's very different from walking in with a letter saying, there's my transfer request. Do you know what I mean? It's like, am I going to get promoted? No, there's two people in front of you. I might have to look at going to a different company then. That isn't your resignation. It's a conversation. So look, I hope it's that. I really, really do. One thing I'd say that's wrong from Ralph is he shouldn't have said anything like that publicly. I think it's just a case of, I'm not going into that. Like, play it down, whatever you've got to do, but don't say what he did. Equally, Martial's response doesn't need to happen either. So I think both have made a mistake. I just don't see the mileage in Ralph. I just don't see why Ralph makes a lie up. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, I don't, for even both parties, I don't see why there's any need to lie or like make up a story or make up. I genuinely just believe something's gone down. They've miscommunicated from both sides, and now it's been blown up in such a way where everyone's now looking at it and not looking at like the matter at hand, which is why are Man United not allowing this brother to leave? You know what I mean? That's what we should be talking about. Why are we still holding on to players that clearly don't want to be here? They clearly want to go out, play for game time. Like, because some of them don't want to be here, not because they hate Man United and they want to leave the club forever. They just want to play games. Like Dean Henderson, it's come out like, yes, he's stormed off and everything. But that's not because he wants to leave the club forever. Like, it's very documented that he loves Man United. He wants to be Man United number one. He just wants to go out on loan for the rest of the season, and maybe however long it takes for Man United to finally realize that Gea may not be the modern goalkeeper we need. He's ready to be like, ah, cool, to send me on loan and I'll wait.
Yeah, I sort of feel like that's right. I feel like that's correct, and I understand it. This is where Ralph's going to struggle, though, because Ralph can make the footballing decision to let Henderson go. The Glazers make the decision as to whether or not the loan deal or the transfer fee is accepted. So Ralph can still do so much because everything has to be signed up by Joel Glazer. So it's the Glazers that are saying no to Martial leaving because they don't want to pay any of his salary. It isn't Ralph Rangnick saying you can't go, because if Ralph Rangnick said he couldn't go, there'd be no conversations with Sevilla. And the clubs are talking or have been talking. So again, this is my worry for Ralph and whoever else comes in is Glazeronomics. But again, we're just told we're sport brats because the club spends lots of its money on players. Therefore, we're well run. All these decisions go back to board level. But too many football fans are too dense to focus on that. And they want to focus on what's easy and what's in front of them. And it has to be Ralph Rangnick who's the issue, not the key decision makers at board level at the club. And as Aaron says here, like, why wouldn't Martial defend himself if it isn't true? In my opinion, what you should do if you believe it isn't true or it isn't true is you contact Ralph. Like, why did you say that? You have a private conversation first, like men, and work out what he meant. It might be, oh, that was my interpret. Okay, and then you resolve it. Going straight onto social media, I don't believe you had a conversation with Ralph. This is my personal take. I think sometimes as well, you don't also need to stoop. I get that he was getting crap, but there's a time and a place to address these things. And I think after a game like that, everybody's got to keep their powder dry. So for me, I think both made mistakes in that. You know, you don't need to like respond in that way, even if you think it's egregious. That's my take, but that's because I don't like dirty linen being aired in public because it brings more negative light on the club. So I hear what you're saying, and I get why he would want to defend himself. He was getting a lot of heat yesterday, even quite a lot of Martial FC turned on him, so I sort of get that. However, it just opens another can of worms now, and now you've got a big percentage of Man United fans that are on at Ralph. The club's got to get this sorted quickly. So you know, it is.
At the end of the day, it was needless.
Equally, this is what I find interesting about it. Is some people are 100% definitely Ralph's lying. Some are like, that definitely Martial's lying. The point is we don't know. And that's what's confusing for me about it. However, that's why I'm looking at both. And it's almost like, why are you both doing this? You know, there was Martial told Ralph when he first arrived that he had a knee problem. When Ralph said that he's not fit enough to play, his girlfriend then comes out and says, yes, he is. So it's literally like what you told Ralph when you first arrived has now been contradicted by your other half online. There's something at play here. And I don't know. I think it's mad, really. I think it's mad. I think that's mad. I think it's all crazy. So, yeah, I'm not defending either per se. They've just got to get Martial gone. Not because I think he's a bad player, but because it's becoming toxic. And this is what happened to Jose. They allowed toxicity to bleed into the game, into the club. They didn't handle it quick enough. And the Glazers saying no to allowing Martial to leave because of the salary thing, you're creating a problem. You're creating a monster. You know, Ralph isn't going to put him in his team because he's actively looking to leave. And he said, unless you want to play for the club. Like, Cavani was near a total agreement to leave the club. And then he sat down with Ralph. They had a man-to-man conversation. And he said, I'm 100% committed to playing for the club. I'll stop my conversations about leaving and focus. That's why he's in the team. The others haven't done that. So, again, you could argue that's refusing to play. Do you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird one. Again,
and at the end of this transfer window, we need to fix up because whoever's here will be here. And as much as I understand Ralph laying down, listen, you don't want to be here, you don't have to play, blah, 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 go leave. Towards the back end of the season, we're going to need some of these players to get us over the line, whatever line that will be. You know what I mean? Whatever line we try and finish over, we're going to need those players. So I'd personally think whoever's here by the end of the transfer window, we just going to be like, right, everyone, head down, focus, finish the season strong if that's possible, and then in the summer you can have your moment of leaving because it'd be a lot easier as well. There's longer time to get everything sorted. More clubs will probably be ready to buy as well. So we just need to get through this period, man. Like, this is probably one of the worst. Like, even Ollie's first stint as interim wasn't this bad, and that dressing room was hella toxic at the time as well. So this is probably one of the worst moments for Man United in the last 9 years because everything's just imploding. Everything, like, and we know that Terry. No, the bad thing is we've lost one game. Like, we've lost one game, but every game feels like a loss.
It's because it's because there's nothing tangible to grow from because the performances aren't good. Yesterday was a great example. If we would have even conceded one of those goals, we would have shut up shop, controlled that last 15 minutes, maybe nicked a goal on the break. You'd go away from that saying, right, we can improve from this. We can become better. And there were lots of positives from yesterday that we can grow from and get better at. There is no doubt about it. There really, really is. However, we need more of it. And that's why it's that word that's used a lot now, and it's a very good word, sustainability. There is no sustainability to the way we play at all. Like, absolutely none. You know, it always feels like we're going to concede every minute of the game where, you know, you watch City play, Chelsea play, Liverpool play, Arsenal a lot of the moment. They play, and you can go through large periods of the game where they do not look like they're going to concede. Where Man United, every time we're Amir Khan FC, every time a punch lands on Amir Khan, you cringe, you're expecting these lights to go out. We're exactly the same, mate. And, you know, I think the players that want to leave are a problem. I think the players that are unfit are a problem. I think the 2 or 3 in the club that are not working hard enough are a problem. You know, all these things are problems that have been created by our board. People hate blaming the board, but that's because what they're essentially saying is, please don't blame the real problem, Terry, and just slag your players off and your manager off. And I'm not going to do that because I'm a real one. But listen, Everybody that has tuned in, a massive thank you to all of you. We're back tomorrow morning with more content. Bet Victor show on tomorrow. And it's midweek Premier League games. We're going to be back in the studio. Watch-alongs will be back. Of course, we were meant to be doing one today, but it got cancelled because the North London derby was postponed. KJ, really appreciate you jumping on, mate. Everyone who's tuned in, take care. Goodbye. God bless.